Okay, thank you. Council, it is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 5:59 p.m., I'll be honest. We'll start anyway, and I'll call this regular meeting of the Barre City Council to order. First item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda and approval of the agenda. Manager, you got?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I put it in the council packet, but we are removing item 8C, the Good Samaritan update. That was just a scheduling issue, and we will be sure to have them back here as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you. And Council, I'd like to, if you'll indulge me, I'd like to put under, well, what would be 8B now, move the situation table briefing down. In light of the impending shutdown of the SNAP program, I have some information for you, and I think it would be important to our constituents to get that information out there. So I'd just like to have a brief conversation about the potential interruption to the, well, I call it SNAP program. It's actually 3 squares here in Vermont. So we'll put that under 8B if there's no objection, and a motion to approve would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, thank you very much. We'll move on to visitors and communications. Is there anyone wishing to address the council regarding an item that isn't on the agenda? Okay.
Scott? Scott, do you want to come up?
Actually, Scott would be under consent.
Consent.
Correct? That would be clerk's office and,
Well, those are.
well, actually, he'd technically be under
Right.
liquor and cannabis.
Right, but he wanted to scoot out.
Oh, okay. Oh, you have something to do? Okay, then it's okay. Look, if I didn't have to hang around, I wouldn't either. So you're Scott Kerner from Good Measure. Come right up. Council, I'm going to depart a bit from the agenda, and I'm going to call the Liquor and Cannabis Control Board to order. Okay. So, folks, this is Scott Kerner from Good Measure Brewing.
That's right.
Love the ale.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that. And I think Cheryl emailed to the council, there's a request to cater permit, and Scott's company will be catering, I believe this is an event at the Barre Auditorium, and the date is?
Next Saturday.
November 8th.
Next Saturday.
So Scott, we just ask new vendors to the city, new licensees to come in and meet the council, and I mean, you're legit, dude.
Yeah.
So, heck, I'll vouch for you.
I think it's funny that I haven't had an event in this city and over my 16 years of running catering in central Vermont. So I'm excited to do it next Saturday and happy to be here in front of you.
And if you want to plug Good Measure, go ahead.
No, what's on the menu?
We have so much good stuff. Okay, this meeting would just be all me talking about our food. But yeah, it's good. Dan Violet from Jockey Hollow invited me to help him out next Saturday at the Odd. It's for the Thunder Road Awards Banquet, and we're excited to be a part of it and excited for doing a little bit of business in the city.
Well, thank you. We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
So, council, motion to approve would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, welcome to Barre.
Thank you so much.
Liquor and Cannabis Control Board is adjourned. You're good to go.
Good luck with the rest of your meeting tonight. Hopefully that was the easiest thing.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome to stick around if you have nothing else to do.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, council, we'll move along to visitors and communications. Anyone wishing to address the council regarding an item that is not on the agenda? Okay, then we'll move along to the consent agenda. Council will be approving the minutes of the meeting of 10/21/25. Do you have any other licenses or permits?
not.
Okay. And we will be placing Good Beginnings on there was some information in your packet. We'll be authorizing to place Good Beginnings on the 2026 town meeting day ballot for the $1,000 in voter approved assistance. And I don't believe you have any contracts this week, do you? And so we do not need to authorize the manager to execute contracts, and a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion or comment? Yes.
I don't have a question about the Good Beginnings being on the town meeting day ballot, but I did have a question that maybe we could just put on a different agenda about the policy and procedure for the organizations that have those recurring request, because there was part of the policy and procedure that they have to submit a standard form and they have to submit a year-end balance sheet. And does that come to the council? And I just have some questions about that. We don't have to do it now if you don't want to, but.
I'm happy to address it, Councilor Spalding. They did submit all that material. It was a lot of documentation. I'm happy to forward the entire contents of the email from Molly, I think it was.
Okay.
But she submitted, I think, a full package. I sort of kept, for packet length purposes, I kept it to the, sort of what I thought were essentials, but I'm more than happy to send that around.
Well, that would be fantastic, but I also was wondering about other organizations. Do they also do that same thing when we are creating our
Yes.
budget?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
they do.
you.
It's kind of in the past, it's been sort of a checkbox. So, Carol would do it in the past, Cheryl does it now. And if they don't check all the boxes, it doesn't get to the council. They let them know that you haven't checked the boxes.
Okay.
But actually, we have forwarded that entire packet to the council in the past, just for information. So if you do want it going forward, I don't have any objection to that. I think it's a good idea.
That would be great.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got it. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, thank you very much. Council will move to 4A on the agenda, and we'll be approving the city warrants of the week of 10/29/25. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
And a second, thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, are you abstaining, Councilor?
I am.
Noted, thank you. And stalling.
You're fine.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Presents right in mine.
Just a couple of quick things. As of today, we have mailed out 396 absentee ballots. I am comfortable mailing them out until Friday. But I do recommend, if you do request one this week, don't try to mail it back. Please bring it to the auditorium, bring it to City Hall. Just don't put it back in the mail because of the situations we've been having with the mail. We do have drop boxes out back and out front, and they do close on Monday at 4 p.m. Another reminder, we do have a pre-election BCA meeting Thursday, October 30th, this Thursday at 6 p.m. right here in council chambers.
Anything else? Questions, Council? Yes.
Zoom option is available for that.
The Zoom link is on the agenda.
Yes, okay, good, thank you.
Okay. So we'll move on. We already took care of Liquor and Cannabis Control Board. Mr. Manager, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. So a couple of updates for the council and the public. As I mentioned last week, the ice is going in at the BOR, and as I also teased last week, we were going to open one day earlier. The first events are scheduled for November 1st, but we're going to open up on Halloween night for a Halloween spooktacular, it's being called, Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. We put this together because we're looking at the forecast. Looks a little iffy with the rain on Saturday, so this would be a good opportunity for parents who don't get their kids' energy out with the trick-or-treating in the neighborhood to bringing up to the BOR. Bring your own skates, bring your costume. There'll be some candy, some hot chocolate. It is completely free to the public. There's actually Woodchuck Lacrosse is hosting a Halloween party at the Odd from 7 to 8:30, which is, if you're still not done with all the Halloween, you can go to there from the BOR. There is an entry fee for that one. But ours, at the BOR is completely free, so come with your skates, get your first laps around on what we call the best ice in central Vermont. And then BOR will be officially open for business on November 1st with our schedules online, and it is packed this year. Wanted to update the council that we got a taker for the Bike Share Pilot Program Steering Committee. Fred Pond, who's a resident of Ward 2 and had been recommended to me as a really good candidate, accepted the charge, and so his appointment will come up to the council for ratification next week. But he's excited to serve. I think he'll be a good representative on that steering committee. From the Public Works Department, just an update on the Headworks project. We received a 60% engineering report this month. We are proceeding to the 90% report later this year. We should have that before the end of the calendar year. And speaking with Brian this morning, we are still on track to break ground in the spring. So that is all moving along very nicely. Police Department staffing updates. On a positive note, want to congratulate several officers who were recently promoted by Chief Vale. One of them is Jake Fry, who was promoted to sergeant, and Jesse Fetcher and Mike Reel, both promoted to corporal. So very happy that they're very, very, you may know them from around the community. They're very active officers, very excited to have their promotions. And then on the staffing side, we are making progress. It's challenging, but we have hired 2 new dispatchers, and we will now have 3 recruits starting at the academy in February. So if those 3 recruits successfully complete it, we will only be down 3 full-time positions. So Chief is doing a great job keeping the applicants coming through. We worked with the union on a small bonus for new recruits, so that is helping get people through the door. And we are slowly trying to make progress on that chronic vacancy issue at the police department. I know we have the bond vote hearing, so I won't spend too much time on that, but just a reminder again that as Cheryl, Clerk Mativier mentioned, we have an election on Tuesday with 2 Barre City-specific articles on the ballot. Carol and I did a webinar last Thursday, scantily, not 3 people? Four. So not a big crowd, but we did record it, and it is, if you missed it and you are interested in watching it, it is posted on our website. You can go to the main website. There's on the scroll, you'll see an icon for the November bond vote information. If you click that, you'll see not only the recording of the lunchtime webinar, but also a whole series of resources that we have put out for voters to get educated on the items they will be voting on. On that note, also just want a reminder to the council and the public and the folks who attend our meetings that our next meeting will be Wednesday, November 5th next week, and that was due to the election that was added to the calendar. So we are meeting on Wednesday, November 5th, same time and same place, just different date. And then finally, I want to recognize Catherine Braman. She retired as the assessing clerk. Last Friday was her last day in the office to wrap up a 40-year career. That's 40, as in service to the city of Barre. She held many roles throughout the city. She was assessing clerk for the last, 20 plus. And so she wrapped up. It was weird to come to the office today. I was out yesterday. It was weird to come today and not have Catherine here as the first manager in a long time that didn't have Catherine on payroll. So she was terrific, a lot of, longevity in service and did it diligently, did her job diligently. And so we wish her very well in her very well-deserved retirement as assessing clerk after 40 years of service. On a related note, we have openings at the city of Barre, and including assessing clerk, and you can apply on our website at www.barrecity.org/HR. And we did recently get in the USW contract flexibility. So there's a posted starting wage, which is consistent with the contract, which is between $22.38 and $23.29. Encourage people to apply. We have some flexibility in that contract. If you come to us with a lot of experience, we have the ability to move you up commensurate with that experience. So don't want the salary that's posted to discourage people, but it's a good position. It's a good job. It's right here in Barre City. Keeps regular hours. Represented by the union. The last person held it for a long time, so it must be good. So that's it from me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions? How did I not know? Go ahead.
I don't have a question, but I want to say I did go on the website to look at the FAQs, and they are really great for the bond thing. So thank you for that. They were very helpful. And anybody who has questions, I say, just go look at the FAQs. They just answer all your questions. So thank you.
They did a great job. How did I not know Catherine was retiring?
She's
It was
very
well.
no, she's very private, and she probably won't like, if this ends up in the talk of the town, she probably won't like that either, David.
Okay, then it's got to end up in talk of the town. So
Definitely don't do
She will
that.
be at the holiday party, right?
We did invite her. We told her that,
No.
yes.
No.
She
We have police officers.
We do.
She
yes.
will be at the holiday.
She will be at the holiday party, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
Yes.
No, I mean,
I talked with her at length about that on Friday.
good, thank you. No, and seriously, Catherine was unflappable. I'd be in the office sometimes, and not everyone, most people, but not everyone who comes through the doors of City Hall, especially when you're dealing with assessment, is pleasant. And Catherine was always just the epitome of grace and professionalism. So I really hope that she comes to the holiday party, because I need the opportunity to say thank you, and I think a lot of people do.
She said she would, so we're
So
going to keep her to
Catherine,
it.
well done. And we'll get you in talk of the town.
I have a question, Mr.
Yes, of course.
Mr. Manager, you said the headworks report, you said 60 and 90%. What exactly does that mean, and what kind of details can we see or?
That's the engineering, like the engineering design. So I can have Brian, I'm sure we can provide it.
Okay.
But it's basically the engineering design is at those levels of percent complete and,
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Anything else, council? Okay, then we'll move on. We have a public hearing scheduled. This is the public informational hearing that's warned for 6:15 PM on the special election of November 4th, 2025. City Treasurer Carol Dawes.
Evening.
How are you?
Peachy, how about all of you?
Take it. It's all yours.
Well, this is one of those requirements by statute. Before any local election, you're required to hold an informational hearing. Used to be within the 10 days leading up to the election. Now it's within the 30 days leading up to the election. We've had a number of opportunities to talk about the items that are on the ballot next Tuesday. This is the last official informational hearing. And it's not only an opportunity for us to share a little bit about the questions that are on the ballot. I won't bore you with stuff you've already heard a gazillion times, but it's also an opportunity for the public to ask any questions. So I will trust you, Mr. Mayor, to keep an eye on the screens or anybody behind me
I
with
am.
any questions. So Barre City has 2 articles on the ballot next Tuesday. Article number 1, and I'm going to summarize them because if you saw the manager's op-ed that was in the paper last week, what is it?
283.
383 words in the 2 articles together. It's a lot of language. Unfortunately, it's all required by law. But to give a brief synopsis of them, Article 1 is to bond $2.4 million through the TIF projects to do infrastructure in support of the construction of a 31-unit housing complex on what is being referred to as Stevens Branch Apartments, which is on Seminary Street between North Main and Summer. There are 2 underutilized city-owned parking lots there, and this is where this space will be. The infrastructure projects in support of it include remediation of contaminants, burying utilities, new water and sewer connections. It includes improvements to the remaining parking lot that's behind the building, some new green space, paving, street paving. So there's a fair amount of infrastructure in support of the project. Because it's a TIF project, and I appreciate Councilor Spalding driving people to the FAQ, so I don't have to spend a lot of time explaining TIF districts. Because it's a TIF project, though, the costs for the bond, the debt service over the life of the bond will be paid out of incremental taxes within the TIF district. So it's not going to add to the general fund budget that gets approved by the voters every year. There is a source of revenue. And what's nice about TIF is that there will actually be an increase in general fund taxes to the general fund. There will be an increase in taxes to the ed fund, and there will be additional funds that are available for the debt service for this project. So before I move on to the next one, I want to give anybody an opportunity to make any comments or ask any questions about the Stevens Branch Apartments or the TIF bond.
Treasurer, I'm hoping there were some grumblings about TIF districts not having done anything for Barre City in the past. I wonder if you could review some of the TIF projects that have been undertaken by the district in the past and what they've accomplished for the city?
Yep. The TIF plan, as it was originally approved by the state, focused almost exclusively on parking improvements in support of a number of different buildings, developments that were in the TIF district, including rehabbing the Blanchard Block next door, the construction of City Place, the construction of the Summer Street housing complex that's on the corner of Keith Avenue and Summer Street, along with other projects in the area. Unfortunately, when you improve and pave a parking lot, it's not something really fabulous that you can look at. So it's hard to say, look at this great building. You could look at the buildings that came out of it, like City Place and Blanchard Block, Summer Street housing. But the parking areas that were included in that included significant remediation of contaminants behind the former Aubuchon's building and improvements of that parking area, the creation of the Campbell Place parking lot, the creation of the Keith Avenue parking lot. And so it created a much larger pool of parking available for the employees and the residents that came with Blanchard Block, City Place, Summer Street housing. One of the other nice things is that was supported by a $2.2 million bond that was approved by the voters in November of 2013. And it leveraged almost $3 million in grant funds that went into those projects too. So it allowed us to take $2.2 million and turn it into more than $5 million of improvements. So in the intervening years between, the other thing that it did was it created the Pearl Street Pedway, which is a wonderful linkage between North Main Street and the parking areas behind. So since the completion of the Pearl Street Pedway, which was the last aspect, I believe that was completed in 16 or 17, we've spent time over the last 4 years or so looking at, well, the TIF plan calls mostly for parking, but is that still relevant to where we are today? There have been changes in the way employees work schedules, more remote work. There's certainly shifts in the needs in communities or the state as a whole, and housing certainly has risen to the top of the needs list. And so we worked with a variety of consultants and developers to map out the plan for the Stevens Branch Apartments. We have to go to the state for approval to shift from parking to housing, which we did. Unanimous approval by the Vermont Economic Progress Council for our refocusing of the TIF plan. And so that's where we're moving forward with this. We do still have some additional time and capacity in the TIF district. So once this project is off and running, we will likely start looking again at what might be the next thing. So we may be back with more.
And can we talk about a specific, Carol?
Sure.
Because there are people who, they don't see any of the benefits. And so I'd like to just talk a little bit about City Place and what that has done for the city. So for those of you who weren't here in 2009, using the neighborhood stabilization grants, we purchased the really old Brooks Drugs building, the Whalen Drugstore, some of you may know it as, and some surrounding properties. At the time, the city was collecting about, I think, $20,000 a year total.
Yeah, they were assessed at less than $1 million.
Yeah, it was a fairly small number. It was about 20,000. That was actually, that is where City Place is. We purchased the property in 2009. Similar to what we're doing at 143, we raised the properties. So we tore the properties down, and we actually had, for a number of years, I think around 2, we had a beautiful sculpture park that Spa and Sue Higbee sponsored and, really shepherded through. Then in 2012, we did the TIF district, and City Place was actually our first project. We offered those lots because the city had acquired them at no cost. we offered them to the developers at no cost. Today, if you look, and then we all know what happened. We partnered with DEW Construction. They built a substantial building, first the Department of Education, and now the Agency of Transportation. They have 200 employees who come in and out of the city of Barre, in and out of our downtown every day. But the point is simply this. In 2009, we were collecting $20,000 total in tax revenue on those parcels. Today, the number is $353,000. That's what we collect in property tax revenue. So even when you look at how much goes back, because, we split the money up in the TIF district, the TIF gets some, the education fund gets some, and the municipality gets some. Even if we look at what the city of Barre is getting today, let's just discard the TIF district benefits, we're getting 500% more today than we were in 2009. And, this project, the Stevens Ranch Apartments, admittedly, the numbers will not be as robust, but I think we're focusing, but they're going to be pretty damn robust to the 31 families and people who get to live there. So, I'm totally in support. I mean, I love TIF. I want to extend it. I want to extend it another 2 years just because I want to see if we can make up another excuse. But no, the legislature, Representative Wazak, Representative Booten, and certainly we had our friends on the side of the Senate. We've been granted 2 extensions on our TIF district because of flooding and because of COVID. No one's ever done that in the state of Vermont. We were the first. So, and Carol, you had a lot to do with that as well. So, I'm anxious to put this project in the win column and focus on the next one because the next one's going to be bigger. It's going to be better.
I think one of the things that Barre has led the state and other TIF communities in is being resilient, yes, we've done this, but now let's look at what the needs are now. So let's shift, let's stay nimble and move around with what needs to be done. Parking is not the need anymore. Housing is the desperate need. So that's what we're moving forward with. And we have a reputation in the state, both with the state and with communities that have TIF districts, as being a community that knows what we're doing and being the poster child for TIF districts. So.
Yes.
Could I ask a question? A couple of the questions that I've been getting, or the question I've been getting from a couple of people, is about the education tax. So could you talk about that and how that works and how this doesn't detract or pull money out of the education fund?
Every property that pays property taxes has a portion of their bill that's municipal taxes that comes to the city to support the budget that's approved by the voters, and they have a portion of their taxes that is education. And if you look at your tax bill, it very clearly says municipal education. And the education portion goes to the state to support, in Vermont's instance, it goes to the state to support all the school districts throughout the state. What happens with a property, say you have a property that's worth $1 million, and through the TIF project, you increase it in value to $2 million. Well, now you're going to be collecting twice as much money. But if it's in TIF, that increase, that increment between the $1 million and $2 million amount, that increase in taxes gets split up with 25% of the increase coming to the municipality, 25% going to the education fund, and 75% of the combined municipal and education going into the TIF increment fund to pay for the debt service. So what you have done by encouraging that property to increase in value by $1 million is you have increased municipal taxes, you have increased education taxes, and you have created a pool of money to cover the debt service associated with the municipal infrastructure, the public investments that supported that private development. And the big thing with TIF districts is you hear people refer to the but-for test. In all instances, and this is one of the things that the Vermont Economic Progress Council looks at when they're granting TIF districts and granting projects, is would this project exist but for the public infrastructure, public improvements that are made by the community. And if the answer is they wouldn't exist without it, then it's a no-brainer that the community makes those improvements, and now those increases fall across all categories. Because if the community didn't make the improvements, then there would be no additional $1 million in value, there would be no additional municipal taxes or education taxes.
Continue, you're on a roll.
Any other questions for, okay.
No, we're good.
So Article 2 on the city's ballot, and the ballot is a lovely autumnal orange color, yellow-orange color, so very much in the season. Article number 2 is a $3.3 million bond vote to make the necessary improvements retrofitting to the new Public Works garage location and campus, which is up off of Prospect Street, up the hill here. It includes new entry off of Prospect Street. It includes areas for a salt bunker and a sand bunker and outside storage for materials that won't fit inside. It includes retrofitting garage doors and bays to allow for equipment to be, all of our equipment to be stored inside. Improvements to the stormwater and water movement in the building so that melting snow off of plows has some place to go in the building. It includes improvements in lighting that need to happen, because right now it's built as a warehouse. So it needs some improvements to get it up to a point where it's perfect for having all of our incredibly valuable highway and water and sewer department equipment undercover, safe. It's a sprinklered building. We're going to save money on our insurance because this building is safer than the one that our equipment is in right now. It provides a much better working environment for our staff members. So I don't know if you've got anything more you want to add?
That covers it. We're going to save money on heating. I mean, just everything it checks every box and then some for us, and it is an elegant solution to a problem that was once, thought to be $30 million, and it's going to come in at 6.3 million total with the acquisition plus this bond. So yeah.
The building is just over the line in Barre Town, but we benefit from the fact that we're only 4 square miles. So even though it is in another municipality, it's less than a mile to City Hall, and it's just over 3 miles to the farthest point in the city. Believe me, I went on Google Maps and figured it out. So our garage in another community will be closer to our farthest point than other neighboring communities, their garages, Barre Town, Berlin, than they are from their farthest point. So we benefit from the fact that we're small. It was challenging because we're small, and so we couldn't find a place to build a building in our actual area. But this is, you can stand there and see the town line. It is literally that close, so.
We actually could. We actually did locate some parcels in the city where we could have built a new building, but it was in the floodway. So if you're going to invest, and, this is a problem that has existed to anyone who's lived here in Barre City for a period of time, for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you've heard about this in every decade. Someone has mentioned it, whether how embarrassing the conditions are, that's where we keep our equipment, that's where we have our workers try to maintain our equipment in substandard conditions. And I remember sitting here when then Public Works Director Ahern came in with the consultant and dropped a $30 million price tag on the council. We simply couldn't afford $30 million. We knew that. And so admittedly, as countless numbers of councils had done before, we kind of kicked the can down the road, and we told Nicholas, continue to work on it, but don't bring us back anything that has a price tag north of $10 million, and even $10 million we're stretching. This project, as Nicholas said, is going to be 6.6. So let's just put that into context for a minute. Our friends in Berlin are currently planning to build a public works garage. Their cost is going to be $500, north of $500 a square foot. Our total cost is $120 a square foot. Berlin is going to spend, they're planning to spend, they're going to spend over $500 a square foot. Our friends in East Montpelier already have a shovel in the ground. They're spending over $500 a square foot. Our friends in Milton, who actually started constructing in 2022, so they got the benefit of not having the run-up in construction costs, they're spending $216 a square foot. Again, compare that to 120. In 2006, we spent $120 a square foot to build the public safety building. In 2006, almost 20 years ago. So, you know, any way you turn this, and I realize let's get past the elephant in the room, I sold this to the city. If Article 2 doesn't pass and you want me to buy it back, done deal. Because I knew it was, you know, it was good for everybody. Everybody won in this situation. We were able to replace a public safety building, a building that would have cost us, at $500 a square foot, would have cost us that was the 30 million, would have cost us $25 million. And, you know, we simply couldn't afford that. So I'm hopeful that people reward Nicholas and the city council and everyone involved for coming up with a solution that is 1/5 or 1/4 the cost. You know, we did it the Barre way. We're cheap, and we figured out a way to do it on the cheap. So I'm hopeful that voters will reward us for doing that. So go ahead.
I have a question. So the structure is a lot larger than the current one. So is the whole structure going to be utilized by the public works building, or is there rental space available?
Yeah, we think that there's really good opportunity to partner with the state, partner with other municipalities to make the most of the use of the interior. One of the things I mentioned when we were going through this acquisition is, you know, one thing people could knock about it is that it's a little bit bigger footprint that we would need to survive. But I also didn't think that was a bad thing, because I know, for example, it could be a satellite location for Barre Town. If they're working on a project on that part of the town that, you know, they don't have to go back to their current garage. In speaking with Secretary Flynn on other issues, we've also floated the idea that this is another option is for AOT vehicles or whatever. So I think that there certainly are options for revenue generation on that site through rentals and agreements with state or other municipalities. Yeah.
The other thing that I wanted to mention, since I touted the fact that the TIF district wasn't going to add anything to the bottom line of our tax bill, I do want to let you know that the way this bond would be paid for, the building is, the Department of Public Works is split pretty much 50% Public Works, which is general fund, or Highway Department, which is general fund, and then the 25 for water and sewer. The percentages are a little slightly different than that, but it's pretty much 50, 25, 25. And so the cost for the bond would be borne with those same percentages to the general fund, and then to the water fund and the sewer fund. And a rough calculation estimate of what that impact is on a $300,000 home, it's less than $8 a month. So we did want to just let people know that that's what we're looking at.
Not everything's a TIF district.
No.
Okay, some things you got to pay for. Council, questions or comments, or, look, I just hope everyone supports these bonds. I mean, they're well thought out. You know, Article 2 just solves a decades-old problem, and we don't have a plan B. You know, we don't have a way to build a, you know, state-of-the-art functional public works garage for $120 a square foot. That's, our plan B is $500 a square foot. So
So I do want to just remind everybody that the voting is this coming Tuesday, a week from today. The polls will be open at the auditorium from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But you can vote now. You can stop by the clerk's office the rest of this week. You can even do it on Monday and vote, though Cheryl's now looking at me and going, don't encourage 1,000 people to come in on Monday. But you could stop by the clerk's office. Through the rest of this week, you could call the clerk's office and ask them to mail you a ballot. There are opportunities to drop ballots off back here at City Hall, or you can bring them up to the auditorium on next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, 7 a.m., 7 to p.m. Come on by.
Thank you. Any other questions, council, or anyone in the audience? Okay, then I'll consider the hearing closed. Council, I'm going to move on instead to the situation table briefing. If there's no objection, Mr. Allen has been waiting patiently, and I'm sure he has other things that he'd rather be doing. Mr. Manager, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. And Scott is joining us from Zoom from, I think he was at a conference or a training all day. So appreciate you making the time, Scott. And Tess is joining us here in person at the table. Tess was selected as the chair of the local situation table. So I'll actually turn it over to, Tess, do you want to start with Scott, or do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I think Scott has
A PowerPoint.
really good PowerPoint, and then I can just add anything after that.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. And Scott, you should be a co-host, so you should be able to share whenever you're ready.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor, City Council. Nick, thank you very much for having us. I am here with my partner, Mike Battieri. We apologize. We're down at the Hampton Inn in Connecticut doing a 2-day training with our Connecticut partners. But by way of background, Mike and I, we're retired law enforcement, 26 years, myself in Massachusetts in a community called East Bridgewater. Mike was the police chief and did 36 years in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And I provide that as the background for why you're listening to us talk about the situation table. Mike and I, as police chiefs in our county called Plymouth County, helped to create a collaborative model back because of the overdose crisis around 2013, 14, and 15. And then as a result of that, it became a collaborative model between public safety, public health, and community partners to help vulnerable populations, persons in need, struggling with substance use disorder, mental health disorders, unhoused. So we took our front row seat in law enforcement, and in lieu of arrest-only options, we started to work with our behavioral health partners to provide options to connect individuals and families to treatment, care, and resources. And I frame that because in 2016, we launched Plymouth County Outreach, 27 cities and towns doing this collaborative work together. And we heard about the situation table back then in 2015, 16. The table is what we call a rapid risk-based triage model. It brings together partners from healthcare, public safety, public health, and community on a weekly basis in a secure setting to work collaboratively to address the needs of individuals and families that are what we call acutely elevated risk. So think of individuals and families that police are responding to, fire EMS responding, going to the ERs, children that live in those homes that have vulnerable needs. The idea is that the table collaborates collectively each week to identify individuals that are slipping through the cracks, and then the table professionals work through what we call a four-filter approach, a four-filter process to engage those individuals and families through a collaborative response. And again, I'm doing this in like 10 minutes. We usually spend 2 days doing this training, so I speak fast. And if you can't tell, I have a hard Boston accent, so I hope you don't need the subtitles already. But when Mike and I launched our initiative with our other chiefs and our behavioral health partners, we knew that we wanted to launch tables because it was the 2.0 version. In our county, we started with an overdose response, but you had to almost die, right? And then we would go out the next day and offer a follow-up resource. The table looks upstream, and it's all of that shared knowledge at the table of community partners, providers, behavioral health providers, community groups that work in this space, that we work collectively through this process. We got involved in this back in 20, and I'm going to open up my PowerPoint now because I want to make sure I'm quick as I do this. Are you seeing my screen share right now?
Not yet.
All right, hold on 1 second. Let me do that again. I need to share my screen. And this is where I usually have Mike sing and do some dancing right now. So
there we go.
So situation table. We got introduced to this the state of Vermont through the Vermont Public Safety Enhancement Team. And that is a collaboration that was led by Governor Scott's 10-point safety plan to address the needs of communities, particularly with violence in communities, substance use disorder, overreaching mental health disorders, through a collaborative approach. PSET is public safety, mental health, corrections, human services, community partners, and local jurisdictions working collaboratively together. So when the governor's office and the Vermont PSET Consortium learned about the situation table model through some colleagues of ours down in Massachusetts, they said, this fits perfectly with our model. Now, I want to remind, just to share, the tables don't do case management. Everyone that's at the table is operating in this space every day doing this work. What the table does is it provides a secure environment for us to work collaboratively together. In addition to the Vermont PSET Consortium, we work with the governor's office, crime research group, the Garnett group. These are all agencies that are working with the state to address the needs of each community. Now, through this project, the governor's office initially identified 4 communities. Because of their high volume of calls for service, police, fire, and EMS, emergency department visits, they identified these communities to be the first ones to have tables. Those first table identified were Bennington, Brattleboro, in Springfield, Vermont. We launched 3 tables we did the training in November 24, and those tables launched in January 2024. Rutland was the 4th table to launch through the Vermont PSET. And then as word started to spread, and we knew this would happen, is that other agencies, other communities said, hey, how do we get one of those situation tables? Because there's fidelity to this process. It's been around for 15 years. There's nearly 50 tables across the US. We have 20 in Massachusetts. Vermont, we are proud to say, has the highest number of tables in a state per capita based off of the population, now with 8 tables. And what the table does is it breaks down silos between agencies, it bridges gaps, it really builds new cross-sector partnerships and gets upstream. And what we do is each week is we work together at these tables. What we can show with under just a year worth of data through the 8 tables. Now, after the first 4, we then had Burlington and St. Johnsbury with the 5th and 6th tables. And then Barre, Berlin, and Montpelier was our 7th table. And that was a regional table. And then Woodstock and Hartford region was the 8th table. The idea is each of these tables work together with all their partners. We work to address the needs in each of those communities. And it looks different from community to community. But what we can see across the state right now is anywhere from 40 to 60% of these situations, we're reducing risk each week. 3/4 of these are individuals, 1/4 families. We're bridging the gap between police health, mental health providers, corrections. Chief Vale was a huge champion. When I met with Nick and Chief Vale back in the summer, when they said, hey, we'd like to learn more about this, they're like, we're all in. But if we're going to do it, it only makes sense that we do it with our partners in Berlin and Montpelier, because you have those collaborative relationships already built between those cross sectors. And with smaller communities like my own, Mike had a bigger city, the smaller communities, we can pool our resources better. What we've been able to do is identify the top risks. Housing is number 1 across the state, no question. Basic needs, substance use, mental health disorders, and poverty are those top 5 risk factors. What we can do with this data, and it's all de-identified data that we're tracking as a community table, is we can look at these trends weekly, monthly. We just had our most recent Vermont PSET Consortium meeting last week, and I highlighted all the work at the tables. What Barre has, Montpelier and Berlin have done in a short time, had a real high success rate. 60% are reducing AER, acute level risk. The multi-collaboration, agent collaboration has been incredible. Like Mike and I, after the training, we stay on and mentor remotely the tables, and we've been just overwhelmed with the response in your community partnerships. Tess has been doing an absolute great job of being the table chair, but no one agency owns the table. And I just want to kind of catch myself on that, because it is truly a collaboration of all the partners in the space. But what it allows us to do is through signed releases of information, respecting privacy, HIPAA, CFR 42, those mandates that hospitals and healthcare providers have to respect, we're able to do that through this shared approach, through this process. Some of the gaps that we're seeing, we're starting to see outreach to families as one of those gaps. So now we're going to work stronger to identify not only individuals, but the family component. And then you can see right there, housing, but that's what we see across the country, to be honest with you, is housing is the number 1 risk factor. Mike, do you want to offer anything that I haven't talked about as far as with Barry and the Montpelier table?
No, I mean, I would just say that we were thrilled when we got into these different communities, including Barry, that whole area, that there was so much good things already happening. We don't come in and replace anything. We come in and we complement it, we bring structure to it, and we bring kind of a fidelity to a program. So it's that tool on the tool belt that that didn't exist before. It just gives agencies the ability to bring that individual family forward that's at that high risk, acutely elevated risk, and provide them the resources and really the agencies and the help they need specific to their needs.
And one of the things, and I'll let Tess, close off here, but what the table has allowed us to do in each of the locations, but then statewide, is compare trends or talk about, hey, what's working in Burlington that we can use in Barre, or what's happening in Barre that we can help here with St. Johnsbury. Like the release of information, the privacy information sharing, that is the biggest challenge. But working with your Vermont partners, we now have a signed release of information waiver that individuals sign and say, hey, I want you to bring me up to the table because you're telling me there's all these resources that are collaborating. I would love to have the help. And we're seeing some just incredible work. And I can't speak enough about, your table in particular. I do want to also, give kudos to the city manager and Chief Vail. You had the highest attendance of any of the trainings. We do these all across the country. You had 83 people in attendance on day one and about 72 on day two, which was really overwhelming. And again, what we're working at it is one individual, one family at a time, but we're building this collaboration that lends to other engagements, other ideas sharing, and it's really kind of like a conduit that becomes that group that is a real key to helping improve the lives of all of our residents. And Mike and I can share, we did it in our own communities as chiefs, and those tables are still running 9 years later. Tess, I'm going to stop screen sharing because I think I've gone about 8 minutes over.
Okay. Well, Scott and Mike, I just have to say that the training, the 2-day training, anybody that was able to participate was pretty amazing. And these guys are wicked smart. Smart. I want to thank you because, after the training, they didn't just drop us. I mean, I'm mentored through these last 4 meetings that we've had and probably will for another, probably 4 or so, right?
We don't go away.
Yeah, and they're like bad pennies. So I just think that this model has been, I always, my perspective is what I have here in Barre and with Berlin and Montpelier. And so we have had anywhere from 30 to 40 participants at the table each week, which is a lot, and it's great. And they represent 35 agencies and organizations. Do you think you could even name 35 agencies and organizations in central Vermont? But it's true, and the expertise that they bring is it's so valuable, and they're so professional, and their willingness to work together is just terrific. We sit down, we get into the room, and we just sit down, ask if there's a situation, and somebody brings something forward, and then it's identified who has been working with, maybe it's an individual. All of them so far have been individuals. But when they bring it forward, it's very quick process for 3 or 4 agencies to identify who can wrap around this and who will take the lead. And then we're done. We're on to the next one. It's so fast. These meetings will end up being, they've gone a little over, but they'll end up being half-hour meetings. What else can I tell you? So we've had 6 cases come forward so far, and 4 have already closed. So that's a good indication. One, I think, that is open now is going to probably close and be taken up later, knowing, the situation now for this individual. And that's the other thing that's great is the whole idea that if not now, then we can do this in the future. It's not like somebody or a situation is taken up and then just dropped because they didn't want to sign a consent, or they were not willing to participate or cooperate. And we just say, okay, maybe not now, but we'll check, we'll come back, we'll swing back around. And I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you, if you have any questions.
Yes, Counselor.
How would we, or how could somebody get in touch to be put on a list to talk to somebody? So say somebody in the.
If you have a situation
Yeah,
that you're
if
thinking of,
somebody in the community, is listening to this and says, hey, I'd like to be part of this. Like I'd like to get help.
yeah. Do you want to take that, Scott?
Yeah, what Springfield Chief Burnham, who's been an advocate, he has people in the community reach out to his officers. The officers then make a referral to the table through the chief, and then the team puts together wraparound services. It actually, in Springfield, was pretty powerful. The chief said he actually had someone who had heard about the table because one of their friends got connected to services. That person went up to a patrol officer and said, hey, can you get me to bring me up at the situation table? I'm struggling, I need help. So anyone, the Chief Vale and his team could bring a referral. They could reach out to Tess on that. It's not a community table because we have to respect privacy information, but anyone can say, hey, if I need help, can you go to one of the table participants? Can you bring me up at the table? And that happens all the time. Great question.
Yeah.
So is there like a group, is there a list or, some way that we could promote individuals whom somebody could then go and talk to?
I think that if it's a situation in the school, they can go to the school. If it's
Who in the school, like, would they go to? Is there a specific individual?
Oh, there's a few people that participate at the table, and there's a student services person. They can go to the principals. They will know.
So the principals will know?
They will know.
Okay.
Or the police department, or you can, bring it into City Hall to city manager and myself, and we'll make sure it goes to the right place to get it presented.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, because I think that, and I appreciate the fact that, to be able to reach out to you or to Nicholas, because some folks don't want to reach out to the police
Right.
for whatever reason.
Right.
So definitely, I appreciate all those different options, and, we all work in the community in different capacities.
Yeah.
So to know about this as a referral, to be able to help people, and with such a high success rate so far, and so many agencies in our community that are willing to help, it's just a huge blessing. So thank you all for the hard
I
work.
do want to add, and I left out your fire chief and deputy chief were very engaged in the training. They're side by side. So a lot of times people feel more comfortable going to fire or EMS. So that's an option too. So they haven't gone through the training. Any of those agencies have designees that could say, hey, I know how to bring a situation forward.
Ginger Cloud, did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you so much. This sounds like a really wonderful program. Thank you for bringing it to Barre and all your work along the way. Tess, I was kind of curious if the Central Vermont Prevention Coalition, have they been involved or have they been looped into this work? It's a coalition of dozens of agencies in Central Vermont that help with addiction services and other interventions.
Yeah, when I look at, it's a good question, Ginger, thanks. I think that when I look at the list, that there's a lot of members of the coalition on the list, so.
And I can share with you that we are meeting regularly with the Agency of Human Services, Department of Health, Department of Public Safety, Corrections, Probation and Parole. All of these agencies, the leaders are part of the Vermont PSEC Consortium, and they are, they continually send their personnel. We're actually doing a training for DCF workers next week online to get them up to speed. We just did one for school personnel. Rutland School System said, hey, we want to be part of the table. And I'll share, last week they had a principal that brought forward a situation. He became part of the Filter 4 outreach, and he told the table chair afterwards, he says, I'm floored. I had no idea we had all these resources that could do all this work. He said, I could never navigate this alone as a building principal or as an educator, but now we have strength in numbers. So I just wanted to share that as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
It's-
thank you so much. And it would be great, yeah, as much as you can involve that whole coalition too. They'd have presenters and, it was just, even working as a state employee, we're very siloed. So even if you're working with one
Right.
department in the state, you're not, there's so many that are missing your fine work. And so it
Yeah.
would be a real
Yeah.
loss to too much
Yeah.
siloing going on.
Thanks. I'm writing it down so that I can
Thank you.
see who's there and who might be missing. That's great.
Okay,
Thank
yeah. And I mean, yeah, they would love to have you guys, I'm sure, present.
Great.
Yeah.
Tess, when you talk about 60% of the situations being closed and a 60% success rate, could you just describe what that looks like? Does that simply mean that the individual or family is getting the services they need, which puts them at a lower risk, or?
What it means is that when we talk about the acute elevated risk, so they're going to be a harm to themselves or a harm to others. And so when the team comes in to wrap around and start de-escalating the situation, it means that now it's not in an acute elevated risk mode. They may have not solved all their problems, but it's in a place where now they can start sailing
managed.
towards.
So it's just being managed?
Yes.
is the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so think of risk, we reduce risk, and then that wraparound team now does case management like they do in their day-to-day work for as long as they need be. And then they can bring back de-identified updates quarterly, annually. So what happens is most of these teams have 3 or 4 agencies with the lead. They'll work with that individual family for as long as they need to. Sometimes we have situations, they get closed to the table, but the case management stays open for a year, 18 months. And then oftentimes, we have to bring individuals back to the table. Someone will come back, but now there's that capacity to engage them and the ability to engage them quicker because they've already had prior experiences. So we do see that as well. It's not doing case management saying, hey, we're not pretending that, hey, we solved the problems. But what we did is we provided them with the wraparound services that they wouldn't get alone. Think of going to 5 different primary cares and trying to navigate, specialty doctors and navigating. What we do is we bring those specialty persons to you and then say, hey, this is how we can work with you for as long as you need us. And then maybe 2 or 3 jump off and then only 1 team member stays here. But we've now provided that all perils approach care team.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Question. So when I went through this whole presentation, which has a lot of information, and I appreciate that, I look at the top risk factors. And when you talk about going upstream, how can we use this information to go even further upstream to make sure that we are providing enough housing, addressing poverty, addressing mental health, addressing substance abuse, and maybe not here just us in Barre, but like as a broader, like in our state, because that seems like if we can solve some of those bigger issues, we wouldn't have people who are at such high risk.
I think.
Go ahead, you go first, Tess, and I'll get off of something.
I think I would just say that, for what we're doing here is we're providing really clear and, data, that is saying what is across the board, everywhere we've seen situation tables, it's housing is first, right, Scott? I mean, that's true across the country, right?
Yeah, housing is one, but what we get into is what are those other social determinant health needs? And what we do with data is now we can leverage that data across the entire state, regionally. We can use that data for future opportunities, hopefully for funding. We know that some of this data has already been used locally by some of the table communities to get support for personnel to support their table and the work they're doing in the community. So it definitely highlights the gaps. But with data now, we can use that and leverage that. The state is looking at it. That's why we have quarterly meetings with Vermont PSET, why they lead that. All the directors, commissioners are now looking at this data. We're now starting to have those longer term conversations. Hey, we now know housing, mental health, and substance use are 3 of the top 5. All right, how can we show this and leverage that statewide, regionally, maybe at the federal level to highlight the needs in Vermont in particular?
Yeah.
I would just add to that, the needs will exist even if we do those big projects. I mean, we're here on the precipice of the Stevens Branch Apartments, which I'm trying to think of the timeline. I think we put out a request for proposals in late 2023. It was after the first flood. And even that project, which I would say has largely been pretty consensus on the councils that have been, here for it, we still won't break ground until 2026. So that's even when we know what we need to do, even when we have a great project to do it. In the best cases, you're still looking, 3 years is still probably best case scenario for any of these type of big solutions. So between now and when we can do the next project, there's going to be people who still have that need, that this model can sort of help them in the interim.
Yes.
One thing that would be really helpful is to drill down on the housing piece. So for example, to find out, like, are people having trouble finding housing? I mean, I know that is an issue, but also, is it people keeping housing? So is it the same and I don't want to say the same people, but, do you get a lease and then you're kicked out of your apartment and then you're homeless again? Is it that you didn't pay your rent and you're kicked out again? There's a lot of different pieces to the housing aspect. And I think somehow if we could drill down on figuring out, what some of those barriers really are that exist, it would kind of help us fix this, what we're talking about, Councilor Spalding.
Yeah, the Burlington table, we've got a focus group now that's focusing just on that. What are the repeat barriers, the key barriers that continue to come up? And now what they're doing through the table is they're having a group that's now talking regularly, just like in the other tables. All right, how do we, and then the table chairs come together. We do a monthly meeting of table chairs and data recorders. And these are some of the discussions we're saying, hey, now that we got some data together, what can we do with this to problem solve? It's gonna take us some time, but if we didn't have this data, if we didn't have the collaboration, we wouldn't have that ability. It would still be in those silos. But what it's allowing everyone to do is to break it down. And I love the way you're thinking, because now we've got to say, okay, good, we can show the data where the gaps are. What can we now do? How do we utilize this to help us come up with those complementary pieces? Is it short-term housing? What can we utilize from our collective knowledge? So we're certainly having those conversations. And I love what the way you're thinking.
Sure.
So I think the only other points first of all, I'd like to thank, the state and Governor Scott for putting the piece set together to make this possible. It's just wonderful. I think the potential for this is, well, first of all, I do want to say that what's really nice is I know that no matter who's running the table, whether it's me or somebody else, it won't go sideways because we're so supported by the core data team, but also each other. So in having these statewide meetings and beyond, I mean, I heard from somebody from Kentucky that just, at one of the meetings, and it was really great because, so we're supported here so that it stays consistent, but also the reason I brought up Kentucky is because they said, we had flooding in Richmond, and we were able to, because we had everybody together, we were able to pivot and work solely on our disaster. And then when that got, when that got smoothed out, they were able to come back and run the situation table the way it is. And I thought that's just brilliant because we might just have another disaster within the next 50 years, and it would be really nice to know. So anyway, I just can't thank you, Scott and Mike, enough for all of the help and all the support and all the hand-holding that you do. And I'm grateful to be doing this.
Thank you. We appreciate you. And I do want to, thank Nick and Chief Vale for being the champions that got, we sat down and had that initial talk, and then it spread. I have an adage, if you build it, they will come. And I say it all the time. It does happen. Pretty powerful.
Thank you again, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a great
Scott,
evening.
Mike.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I know that there are at least 4 people here who are interested in the Neighborly Barre Committee discussion. Could we bump to that next and then have your update?
Right after we talk about SNAP, that affects 23% of our population and children going hungry. Yes, I will do that. So Council, wanted to talk to you about, just give you an update on the federal SNAP program, what we refer to here in Vermont is 3 Squares. So I wanted to thank Representative Wazuzak. I've been working with him since yesterday, just trying to get some data on who exactly it is affecting. So just to give the council and those watching some numbers, on November 1st, the SNAP program is set to expire. So will the 3 Squares program on November 1st without intervention. So here in Barre, we have 8,304 people in our city. These are the people who will be directly affected. 1,904 people out of a population of 8,304, roughly 23% of our population. If you were out today and you saw 4 people, likely statistically, one of them will be affected by the suspension of this program. 1,217 households will be affected here in Barre, and 531 children under the age of 18. Those are pretty sobering, pretty serious numbers. We're a small city. Statewide, in Vermont, roughly 63,000. We have a population of about 650,000. 63,000 people statewide, or roughly 10% of our population will be affected. So here in Barre, we're roughly double that number, which I did expect. I was guessing around 15%. I wouldn't have guessed as high as 23% of our population, and certainly wouldn't have guessed over 500 children. So, so for those affected, it's got to be pretty scary to think that on November 1st, that money that they depend on, the EBT card that they depend on, will not be replenished. And so I just wanted to give the council this update in the hopes that the word will get out that things are being done. And I just wanted to run through those 3 things. First, I think we had all hoped that Democrats and Republicans would come together and end the shutdown. That obviously is not going to happen soon, certainly not going to happen this week. Tomorrow at 12 p.m., Governor Scott will convene the E-Board, the Emergency Board. And the Emergency Board, currently it costs around $12 million, and there's another component that's so around $12 to $15 million for the 3 Squares program in the state of Vermont. The state legislature did set aside $110 million for exactly this reason, because they were concerned about a government shutdown. But you have to remember that 3 Squares is not the only program in the state of Vermont that is affected. So they have to make that $110 million last. There's also the uncertainty of whether the state will be reimbursed. So if the state, for example, if any state votes to fund 3 Squares or their state program for a significant period of time, there is the chance that the state government would not be reimbursed by the federal government once the shutdown is ended. So again, would never attempt to second guess the governor, but I wouldn't be surprised if the E-Board votes to fund it for a number of weeks, for example, 2 weeks, and then perhaps convenes again at some point during the year should the shutdown continue. But I have a pretty high degree of confidence that they will be able to come up with a short-term solution, but not a long-term solution. There's also the added complexity of the fact that the 3 Squares program is, because it's a federal program, the EBT cards they're funded federally. So it's going to add some complexity to uploading the funds to an individual's cards. They assure me that the delay, there could be a delay, but the delay would be days, not weeks. It could be, and remember, Saturday, the 1st of November, when it's set to expire, Saturday is a Saturday. Well, banks are closed on Saturday, and they're closed on Sunday. That adds a layer of complexity to it. But they're hopeful that by Monday or Tuesday of next week, if the E-Board, in fact, votes to fund the program or partially fund the program throughout the month of November, they're hopeful that if there is a delay, it'll just be a day or 2. Probably not of much comfort when you have a family to feed, when you have children to feed, but I know they're going to, we've had every assurance from the administration that they're going to work as quickly as they can, and they're already planning for it. The second thing that's going on is there was a bill introduced in the Senate. Senator Welch, there were 10 Republicans who introduced the bill, and it was a very simple bill, Fund SNAP. It's called the SNAP funding program of 2025, or continuance of 2025. So introduced by 10 Republicans. Senator Welch, thank you, Senator, I'm proud of you, was the only Democrat to break ranks and say we have to fund SNAP. So that is pending in the Senate. That might be taken up. I think it was sent to appropriations. That could be taken up, could be stalled in appropriations, or it could be taken up for a vote. So that is going on. And then lastly, Vermont has joined several other states in filing suit against the federal government. That lawsuit was filed today. That was filed in the Massachusetts District Court. So those are the three things, or actually four, if you consider just a common sense stoppage of the shutdown. There are four things that are going that might push funding of SNAP in the right direction. So I just wanted to brief the council on that, but more importantly, brief anyone who might be watching who could be affected, because this is a very, very scary time for them when they depend on, and this is a very personal issue to me. My daughter works for No Kid Hungry. She is the National SNAP Benefits Coordinator. So she's watching 50 states across the country struggle with this, and it's her job to make sure that those funds flow. So it's something that's very important to her, and it's very important to me, not just as a dad, but I've always been able to feed my family. And I can't imagine the uncertainty that some people are feeling, thinking that they will not be able to feed their children on November 1st. It's not right. I'm not going to pontificate about the whole shutdown thing, but it's just not right. So any questions, council? If anything, we'll keep folks updated. We're going to put stuff on social media and just let people know that, we're out there advocating for them. Amy, did you have a question or a comment?
That's just the cursor.
Oh, sorry, that's his cursor. Sorry about that. Okay, so did you want to go into the, would you mind, Councilor Guston, if we, okay, so we'll do the, we'll discuss the Neighborly Barre Committee proposal now, and then we'll do the flood resiliency plan. So Councilors Spalding and Hillgardner.
I brought the Neighborly Barre initiative to council in June, and it was fairly elaborate and not funded. It was made clear that there were not funds on the city level or staff energy on the city level to do the whole of that project. But the central concept seemed like it was worth continuing with. Senator, we'll make you a senator, that would work. Councilor Spalding and I had a strategy meeting where we sort of talked about how can we pivot this, and which still incorporates this alternative approach to how we change people's minds and perceptions and energize people around what a wonderful city Barre is. And what we came up with was a city committee, doesn't take any money, we're not asking for staff time, to help coordinate among the groups, the various groups that are already doing things in Barre for, as Barre boosters or for the Barre business community, find ways to reach out further into the community and find other residents who are interested in connecting with their neighbors and doing maybe small one-off projects that enhance community, beautify Barre maybe, and build connections within the city. So we're proposing that the council approve the creation of the Neighborly Barre Committee with the charge to beautify, build connections, and create community in Barre City. And I don't know, should I make a motion at this point and then we discuss it, or do you want some more?
Could you describe exactly, like, the structure of the committee? I mean, I've got your briefing from June
Okay,
that I looked
right.
over,
The
but,
briefing from June.
so how does this differ?
This is different because what we're talking about having is a relatively small number of people on a committee, and we have 5 people who've indicated interest, one further person who's indicated a possible interest if he can make it work with his schedule. And this would be the sort of the steering committee that would generate ideas and get input from various other community partners for things and help move those ideas out into a slightly wider circle of people who are interested in helping but not necessarily interested in being on a committee every month. And we have talked to a number of people about that. Many, in fact, I would say most of the people that I talked to were enthusiastic about the idea. Some of them were, said things like, we'd like to help. We don't want to be on the committee. But the helping in terms of, so there's a project that, let's say we want to serve during the holiday shopping period in Barre, that we want to partner with the Barre Partnership and serve coffee and donuts, or hot cider and donuts, and maybe engage the school kids in making cookies or brownies or something, or serving. There would be people that, the committee would generate the idea, figure out who we're talking to, and move, and then talk to people who would move these ideas further out into the community. I think it's important for us to have a city committee because it says to everybody that this is something that the city supports and thinks is important. I think it's an important piece of some of the other discussions that we've been having about dealing with the problems in Barre. I will say that Tracy Lewis from Barre Partnership she's here tonight. She's very interested in this. We had a lovely meeting with her, and she was excited, had some really, really good ideas. And, just sitting around the 3 of us at Espresso Bueno and talking about the potential had us all leaving the meeting charged up. Is that fair? Yeah. And I've also talked with Josh Jerome at Barre Area Development Corporation. He's at the Barre Town Select Board tonight, so he couldn't come. But he's also enthusiastic about the possibilities of ways that this would help, sort of dovetail and connect people in the community to some of the work of the various groups that are doing things. We've talked with, we talked with Rainbow Bridge, we've talked with library, we've talked with the People's Health and Wellness. There are lots of places where there can be some overlap and some good things happening.
So yes, you could we'll have to ratify it next week because we only had discuss it, not.
Okay, we didn't.
No, but that's okay. We'll just
All right, we can
ratify it next week. So who would the initial members of the committee be?
The initial members of the committee who've said they're willing to serve would be Tracy Lewis, Ernie Drown, Joanne Reynolds, and Marjorie Strong, who's up in the top row, and me.
And you, and Councilor Spaulding?
No.
No, okay. No.
She's got enough on her plate right now, and
We do, just, if I may, Mayor.
Yeah, of course.
Just under the municipal bodies and appointments policy, we do have to advertise for any committee opening, so I just want to make sure people are aware. Certainly free to apply, and, certainly the council can appoint whoever you wish, but I just, if we follow the policy, we would go through, and it doesn't have to be very long. We can put it up for a week on the website, and so
that's
just for.
fine. And this isn't limited to these people. If there's some, Josh Jerome has said that he would perhaps be interested in it if he can make it work with his schedule. If there's somebody who's listening tonight who wants to participate or, talk to us. I mean, we envision not a huge committee because it's, there'll be enough work to do also for the people in the next row out. If we think of it, committee.
Yes.
And if, oh, sorry, Counselor. And if I just could, the other piece is I'm happy to work with you and Counselor Spalding. The policy also talks about the creation of committees. I think you've covered just about everything. The one thing that I didn't see in this was number of members and member terms. So when the council creates committees, it puts those two factors in. So it's,
Do we
those
have
are,
to have a solid number
Yes.
of people?
Yes.
So you have, say,
Helps
10
determine
people or
quorum.
something? I see, quorum.
yeah,
Okay.
because you have to meet quorum and exactly for that reason, yeah. So I'm happy to work with you on that. I think there's no right or wrong answer. Most of our committees have 5 or 7 members right now. So having an odd number obviously is important. Those were the only 2 things I didn't see here. The things you have to have are classification, which this is a committee. It's whether it's committee or task force or whatever. I think this is clearly a committee. Powers, duties, and charge, I think, is covered within the memo for the most part. I think just membership and terms were the 2 things I didn't see, so. Yes.
Is it simply best practice, or is it required policy that every city committee have a city staff person assigned to it?
It is not required.
Yeah, but in this case, you would like to be the person assigned.
I would like to be involved.
Yes.
The only thing that I wanted to bring up is if there are a lot of people that want to participate, that would be fantastic. There's the committee, and then there's the people, as Counselor Hillgartner said, that are going to also go out and be neighborly. So even if you can't get on the committee, there's still plenty to do. You can show up at every meeting and just not be on the committee and give your ideas and find out ways that you can participate. And I think the main goals are, for me, I just keep thinking about how, I think Byrne Rose talked about it. I remember Tom Treese talking about it, about having more people be downtown. And if we had litter picking or adopt a bus stop or giving away coffee on a random, Sunday or Saturday afternoon, there will be more people around. And so I think that's encouraging. And also Tracy and Counselor Hillgartner and I spoke the other day about the Pay It Forward program. And I think that I'm really excited about that, just for the simple fact that I think would be a great way for people who want to support people who are struggling, but don't want to hand over cash to somebody. They're just feeling uncomfortable about that, but they can still support them by, donating money to a local business and then having them be able to go in and get a sandwich or something like that if they need a Pay It Forward meal or item. So I'm excited about that, of how we can be more neighborly and support each other, so.
Understood. So why don't we do this to go forward? We're meeting on Wednesday of next week. Why don't you just clean up this first sheet, or just edit this first sheet so that we've got the charge? And we'll put that on the agenda, plan on a 7 or 9. I mean, I'm thinking quorum. Yeah, I mean, we could do 9, we could do 50, we can do whatever we want, but you have to have, your quorum would be a majority of the members. So my suggestion would be, if you think, hey, we might have more people, maybe we do 9, and then you can operate with a quorum of 5. Does that sound good, or would you rather do 7 and 4?
I think it might be better to start with 7 and 4, because as Counselor Spalding pointed out, there's lots of room to be involved.
Yeah,
without
and we
being
can
part of
expand it, so if you ended up with
We ended up
a
with
ton of people working with the committee, we
could
could
make
make it
it
15. We can, yeah, so that's not difficult to do. Does that sound okay?
Yes,
Okay.
that works for
Then
me.
why don't we do that? And folks, you came all the way down here, you waited. Anything you'd like to add or say, or?
You have to come up,
You have to come all the way up.
You gotta come up here or nobody hears you.
because there's Zoom.
And you have to
It's kind of like home, Ernie. You talk and nobody hears you.
to say your
Say
name.
who you are.
I'm Ernie John, I'm a prospective member of this committee. It occurs to me that if this gets off the ground and gets rolling, we might invite some people from Barre Town to be involved with this.
No way.
Just a thought.
It's a good thought, yes.
Ginger Cloud? Oh, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just also wanted to say I love this idea and different ways to be involved in the city and initiatives. So I really appreciate the efforts and I look forward to participating.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, council, if there's nothing else, we'll move on to item 8D on the agenda. This is the, what's
Thank
that?
you.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, I was
thanks.
saying thank you.
This is the flood resiliency plan.
Absolutely. Give me just a second to pull my PowerPoint back up on my iPad. Okay. Thank you, Manager. All right. So tonight's section of the plan update is for, thank you, 3.2, stormwater system repair, upsizing, and maintenance. Within the plan, this calls for action on the stormwater system analysis that we consulted, as well as neighborhood connection. And when we wrote this update, I had already been talking to this organization, so we wrote in build and adopt a storm drain program that empowers residents to care for their own neighborhoods. All right, and as a general note, I wanted to give some context to our previous updates to this section of the flood resiliency plan, which is that we expect the results of the comprehensive stormwater system study in early spring 2026. We ordered it in the spring of 25. It's a year out. So shockingly soon, actually. We've also applied for $250,000 from the CDBG-DR grant program that would fund design and engineering for the top projects that are identified in that study so that we can move forward on the real infrastructure improvements that fall under this plan section. But in the meantime, tonight I am pitching that the city adopt what's called an Adopt a Storm Drain program. And I want to give full faith and credit Hannah Town, member of the River Access Committee and city resident, reached out, gosh, maybe a year ago now, when we were talking about adopting the first flood resiliency plan. She said, I am kind of obsessed with this Adopt a Storm Drain program, but like it's not available in Barre. And it turns out it's not available in Barre because you have to sign the municipality up for it as a whole. It is available in Vermont. It's currently used in Chittenden County. So what this program is, and she brought it to my attention, and I've had many, back up for a second, sorry. I've had many conversations with the folks since then. It's a turnkey national program and encourages community engagement to remove debris from waterways. It's managed by Hamline University in Minnesota. As I said, it's currently used in Chittenden County because Chittenden County has some highly specific environmental reporting requirements called MS4 requirements, which have to do with sewer and stormwater drain off and the ways that that affects large bodies of water, in their case, mostly Lake Champlain. The program does include extremely robust reporting in this way. We are not subject to those permitting requirements. That's not the top draw for us, but that is why it's used elsewhere in Vermont with enormous success in those ways. So, now we're ready. Okay.
Now, in Chittenden County, all of Chittenden County?
All of Chittenden County.
All of it?
Yep, the entire county.
Wow.
Yep. So what exactly is this program? What does it do? So as I mentioned, turnkey program. And the thing I want to emphasize this evening is that we pay a fee to the lovely folks at Hamline University, which I did not know existed until I started researching this program, but they're lovely. They're very Minnesota. It's great. So they truly provide a turnkey program. We pay them a fee, which I'll get into a little bit later, is shockingly affordable. And they do a full management top to bottom of this program. People sign up through them. They run all the tech support. They run all the FAQ about the program itself. Once you've signed up, and have like checked off and adopted your storm drain, they send you reminders to check in about when's the last time you cleaned this drain out and things like that. It's online, it runs online, but you can also sign up for physical packets that you like mail to them with your reports if you are not interested in a digital solution. They also, there's a form, if you could go to the next slide. There's like, it's terrible to see on the slide, and I'm sorry, but I will send this to you all afterwards. But basically, this is the form that you fill out. Your last recorded cleaning was this long ago. How much debris have you collected since then? And they ask you to describe the types of debris. Is it vegetable debris? Is it human trash? Is it animal stuff? And then they run all the back-end analysis. So like every quarterly, they come back and they say, the residents of Barre City have collected, and they measure it by pound. They provide robust support for sort of citizen science around what people are doing with their own storm drains on their own streets in order to quantify this. And I want to sort of pause here and say a couple of the reasons I think this could be particularly useful or will be especially useful for Barre City. One of the things we've heard over and over again from people is that they want to help make a difference in the flood resiliency of Barre City. Another is that we know that one of the big challenges for our flooding is flash flooding caused by the stormwater system being overloaded. We are addressing that from an infrastructure point of view in widening, in cleaning out storm drains. But another is that the stuff gets into the storm system in the first place. The debris gets in the storm system in the first place. We talked to so many people when we were doing the neighborhood walks who pointed and said, that's my storm drain. I clear it out whenever it rains. So people are already doing this. They already feel a sense of ownership over the places around them, and this would provide a reporting structure and an incentive structure for folks to do that in a formal way. This also, what it ended up looking like is a big old map. So city staff can also take a look at the map and they can see these storm drains have been cleared out. Great, this whole swath is a priority for us for not cleaning out. This puts eyes on our sort of, call it like our first line infrastructure on a regular basis. So if you're cleaning out a storm drain regularly, you can see when it's got debris and needs a vector, as opposed to just I'm clearing the leaves and the sticks and some trash off of it. And I can call that into city staff so they can respond more quickly and address problems before they become huge problems. I'm sure everyone out there has walked by a storm drain that is failing. This also has us put eyes on, boy, the water got really under the pavement and started to dislodge that storm drain this time. It's an early warning system for that as well, and allows us to move into more preventive mode than reactive mode around storm drains. So it really emphasizes making everyone in the city, it's a little bit like a storm drain specific version of, we've talked before about the See Click Fix app that used to exist for the entire infrastructure for the city. This is sort of that for just the storm system. Author possible incentives, you get to name your storm drain. So start thinking. And it becomes like your storm drain, like you can see in that one, the one bucket at a time. People come up with really clever ones. The internet's full of them. So it does that. If you could go to the next slide, thank you. Yep. There are also education tie-ins, and in a second, I'm going to get to what my actual ask is in adopting this program, and it's going to include these education kits. These are kits that they provide to teachers that include a whole bunch of, that includes a lesson plan about data collection and support materials for citizen science. It also includes back-end access to a community of teachers who are teaching science and environmental science across the country using this program, as well as a whole host of other online lesson plans and things like that they can use to supplement the actual materials that come to them in this education kit and really build a robust teaching and learning about it. Ultimately, I had some long conversations with these folks, and I was talking about different communities have different incentives to this program. For some communities, they are right on the Mississippi River, and they treasure the Mississippi River as an important part of their community's heritage, as an important part of their community image. And so for them, it's keep trash out of the Mississippi River. That is an important thing for us. And I was explaining how for us, we flood in part because of our stormwater system. So this is a helping your neighbor. I'm helping flood resilience in Barre City. I'm helping my neighbor. One of the mottos of the program is we all live downstream of something. Someone else's actions are affecting us, and our actions are all affecting someone else. And so this is part of that encouraging of that community sense. So there are different motivations for us. I see it as I'm helping my neighbor who's downstream. If I clean out this storm drain, it doesn't jump the curb and go into their yard and their basement. And if I spot a problem early, then it allows my whole neighborhood to recover more quickly. So the ask tonight, in order to adopt the Adopt a Storm Drain program, sorry, I didn't intend that, is a $15,000 allocation from our special projects funds. What that would fund is 3 years of program subscription upfront. Ahead of time, we wouldn't have to worry about this for 3 years. And I'll be very honest with you all, I picked that number in a somewhat arbitrary way, thinking 3 years would be like a good run to see if it is well received. That would, 50 bonus kits. So these are kits that when you sign up for the program, so residents sign up for the program, and they adopt storm drains in their neighborhood. The first 50 people to do that would get a whole little box kit that includes a sign that they would help design with us, that's specific to Barre City, that they get to put in their yard, saying that they have adopted a storm drain. It includes some other like fun promotional materials for them to sort of share with their neighbors about the Adopt a Storm Drain program. And it's stuff that's meant to encourage pride of ownership and participation in the program. So it would include 50 of those for residents, and that would include 10 of the education kits that could go to whichever teachers wanted them, which is, again, citizen science and data collection lessons. That would get us through 3 years. If the program is a success, if in 3 years we're sitting here going, every storm drain in the city has been adopted and people love the program, wow, I missed a zero there, not $100, sorry, it's $1,000 annually to maintain the program, and that's based on our municipality size, not on how many people sign up for the program, so that would potentially change if they made significant program changes like due to inflation, but it will not change if suddenly everyone signs up. Which actually I think is a pretty relatively low annual cost for a program that, again, I emphasize, like, city staff's involvement in this is going to be getting more calls that the storm drains need to be factored out, which I see as ultimately helpful.
Yeah, it's good.
They're not going to have to respond to like tech stuff or anything like that. The program also provides like training of how to clean a storm drain and what it looks like and everything like that. And then they just come back to us with the information. It was really, one of the things that drew me to this was that they are implementing it so successfully in many other communities without increasing burdens on staff to manage the infrastructure. So, any
Interesting. Yeah,
questions?
I mean, a few.
Yeah.
Are you prohibited, so we spend the $15,000, we may have somewhere else we could grab that from? I mean, we've got other flood resiliency type funds, but no, I'm supportive of it. So my question is, so the first 50 residents get, there's a lot more than 50 storm drains around the city. There's a few of them. I wouldn't even guess how many. Do you know?
I don't.
Any idea?
I talked to Brian, he guessed in the ballpark of 1,000 is what he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to come up using sort of the same design, if we wanted to have our own political signs, that you put in your yard, printed out, we could do that, right? There's nothing with this program that says, hey, you can't do that.
No, they'll provide the designs for us if we want. This is just for them. This is part of that sort of turnkey management. We would pay for those 50 kits so that we don't have to mail every time a resident signs up. They would do it for us, but we certainly could create and provide additional materials. I will also say that the kits are like the cheapest part of this program, so if we wanted to up that number, it won't add like huge.
Won't really cost that much.
It's $20 per kit.
Okay.
So it's not like a hugely, the most expensive part, I'll be upfront with everyone, is the education kits. Because it's a very, very robust support. And I know this is a little outside of what council usually does. So, and I'll be like upfront with you all, I also haven't identified places for this to go yet. So if council wanted to modify that ask, I'm okay with that.
So if and could you, as part of this program, if you've got 1,000 storm drains, theoretically, all of them have an address attached to it. Like I have 1, 2, 3 in front of my home. So, you might have one in front of your, you know what I mean? So you could actually put a 911 address on it so that a city staff person knows exactly where or they can find it.
Yeah. So
and if you had something even in Google Docs, that if you had, 700 residents who had adopted a storm drain, if you had something in Google Docs, they could put information like the location, when was the last time, it's Tom Lozon, he adopted this, but when's the last time Tom looked at it? Tom dates it, and it might be 5 years ago, so we know that he's a loser, he lost interest. No, but I mean, you can have information like, I inspected it on this date and the condition is pretty critical, it's collapsing. And then Brian could come in, sort it, and not have 700 calls or 700 emails saying, you got a problem.
Yeah.
No, I love the idea, because anytime we can get citizens to take responsibility for just looking at our infrastructure and reporting problems, as opposed to, there's a giant pothole on Hill Street. Well, that's helpful. Could you
Long
tell me
street.
where?
It's a long street.
No, I mean, it's, as opposed to getting into the, social media criticism that we talked about the other day, they're providing useful information to city staff so that we can get eyes on things. Yeah, Councilor.
Is there any data from a municipality that has done this to show that, wow, we tried this and it worked when it rained 3 days in a row? Or is this a government program, or is it owned by a business that's making money on it?
It's a private program that is run by Hamline University. So I guess I would describe it as a public-private partnership. I don't think they're a state university, but they're doing it as, they do make money from the program in order to run it, but it's not a profit-based program. They're doing it in order to sort of support their environmental science program goals and things like that. I would be happy, other municipalities, benefits are different across different municipalities because of the ways in which their systems are set up. And different municipalities are looking for different benefits out of it. The primary measure that is available that would apply to all municipalities is number of pounds of debris removed from the stormwater system. And that, they have some extremely convincing data that over multiple years of adoption for this program, it grows exponentially. That there are literally tens of thousands of pounds of debris, primarily organic, right, leaves and stuff, and that's going to be the case here as well. It's going to be primarily organic, but they are able to track, and that's part of what they do in the back end, is they calculate all of that. If a person says, oh, I removed, they give you like estimates, oh, I removed like half a bucket, and it was mostly leaves, they translate that in the back end to, oh, across the entire city over the past 2 weeks, all of these data points are reporting back, and we can give you a report on what that looks like. And I would also, Mayor, to your 911 address, they actually work off of GIS data. So we would have to geolocate every single, and that is an upfront, part of that $15,000 that I've asked for includes an upfront GIS data setup for them. That we would be able to geolocate, and if this were approved, what I would propose is collecting a small group of enthusiastic citizens to walk the city. Maybe this is an early project for the neighborly Barre folks.
I was just thinking, sounds like
to
there's
walk
some
the
good-
city, and they'll have to do is just with their phones go, boop, I'm standing on it. Next, boop, I'm standing on it across the city. The city doesn't actually currently have all of its
Don't
strong
stand on
rooms. Standing
near it.
next to it. I don't think GIS data is that precise, so.
Thank you.
So the city actually doesn't currently have that information collected. So even collecting that information would be a huge boon. And the city also would have access to the back end and be able to pull that map and see the last time it was cleaned was this, or someone reported a significant problem that they weren't able to clean with this. So they can pull up a map and see where the hot spots are.
Amy Galford?
Yeah, I had a few thoughts. So Barre isn't subject to the MS4 program because that's got a size threshold. So that's where, with the population density, Chittenden County hits most of it, and maybe Rutland does, and a few other places in Vermont. But we do have several sites in the city that have 3-acre stormwater permits, I think. I don't know if any of those are owned by the city, but I expect like Spalding High School, maybe some others might be in that category. So there's I think there's some compliance requirements with the 3-acre stormwater permitting, and maybe this could help with that. And I guess this question would be for the city manager. Does the city have a municipal road general permit for stormwater that we have to meet? Like, I thought when like you sweep the streets, that actually counts towards reporting to a state program.
Amy, I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to check
Okay.
with, yep.
Because part of what it is even though we're not one of MS4 regulated committees or communities, since our water flows to Lake Champlain, we are part of that impairment, which is primarily for phosphorus. And I don't remember if officially it's for sediment, but like sediment carries a lot of phosphorus with it. So I think there's a lot of state reporting groups, and maybe this could be a springboard to other funding as well, because Lake Champlain is impaired for phosphorus. So they're interested in things of what are local communities doing to reduce phosphorus. So it would be great to use this as reporting tools, either to help if there is anything the city has to do with compliance. I think it's the Regional Planning Commission who connects for that for the Winooski River Basin, but I'm not sure. So it'd be worth talking to them. And there's a thing called a tactical basin plan that's also like a plan for the entire region. And so, connecting with the folks at ANR and their service providers who do that. It just seems like this data, like, it's very cool as a public outreach tool, but it actually might connect into something for reporting and also be a basis, if it turns into a larger program, maybe you can take the data from that and use it for a grant application for other things that the city or local groups would do in the future. Because there is, I don't know the exact funding cycle for it, but there's the State Clean Water Board that has a whole bunch of different funding programs they do for stormwater type programs. So maybe it's worth a conversation with somebody at ANR. And if you need contacts for that, I can send those to you. But I think between the Regional Planning Commission and somebody at ANR, like, they might tell you, like, oh, we know what this is, and here's some ideas for how to use it. And maybe like, oh, if you do this, then you can apply for this other thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I love that. I've also been looking and getting a lot of alerts for the Lake Champlain Basin heritage programs, Lake Champlain Basin programs, where they have quite a lot of funding available in that same line that does have really robust reporting requirements that haven't been quite a fit for us, but it's a really interesting thought to see if this would help us get in on some of that, because I would love that.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a really simple question, very obvious, but when you say clean out the storm drains, can you be clear about what you mean?
Not reaching inside.
Basically, whatever's
Clean off
on
the
top.
Yes.
Okay, because like, for people who are like, I can't adopt a storm drain, that's complicated.
Clean off the top.
Like, make sure that water can flow through.
Yes.
So in the winter, move the snow.
Yep.
Move the,
Yep, chip away the ice a little bit if you can. Like, I know, yeah, all the leaves that pile up this time of year, that kind of thing, just move it away from the stream of water so that it can become a functional storm drain again. The thing we all do when we kick at it, when we walk by while it's raining, if you see it spilling over, just on a consistent and tracked basis.
But preferably clean it, not kick the leaves into the storm drain.
Yeah, no, not in.
Which is what we all tend to do.
No, kick it aside. Kick it aside.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, I see, honestly, I see the benefit more to getting eyes on them. I mean, if you think about how Google Sheets works, I mean, literally, you could take a picture of it and attach it to, so very quickly, the city could have an entire inventory with pictures of what the storm system looks like, which would enable us to, and I think the information would dovetail nicely with the stormwater study that we're going to get back in early '26. So kind of cool. I'm all for it. Could you look into funding? I mean, I'd be happy to approve it from the fund that you suggested, Counselor, but if there's a more appropriate fund, or if the manager has another choice,
Absolutely,
of course, we can get that on the agenda for next week.
Yep.
Is
Absolutely.
that okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Any other questions, Council? Thank you very much, Councilor Guston. Council, under upcoming business, actually, Councilor Guston and I were discussing just recently hitting the road, as in the city council hitting the road and hosting a few meetings. In November, we'd like to start with the business community and just have a meeting, in one of our off weeks, have a meeting downtown about, and with different groups about how people are feeling, what they'd like to see in the upcoming budget, what concerns them, what doesn't concern them, what their biggest challenges are. So thank you for that suggestion, Councilor. So what we're going to do is set up, we talked about November, December, January, February. Probably the January focus would be on some sort of larger budget forum, or maybe a budget exercise where we try to give you, a little bit of guidance in terms of what what our citizens deem as most important within the budget, and it might help you and your department heads a little bit. Anything else, council, that I'm missing? We're still looking for the DR, believe it or not. Second round DR, I think I would like to submit something with 143 for demolition, and so we're, again, we're probably gonna pare it back a little bit, but you're gonna see a second round. We'll be applying in the second round for DR, so if you have any suggestions for Nicholas, other than that $3 million Potash Brook, which ain't happening for you, sorry.
Stay in my pocket, it's gonna come
yeah,
out
there you
every time
go.
we have a grant opportunity, just wait.
Yes, Councilor.
I just want to give council a heads up. Next week, our flood resiliency plan presentation, Roy Schiff from SLR Consulting will be here to present on the science of, what are we calling it now? River sedimentation maintenance, which I know has been a hot topic in the past. And I had offered up.
Call it what it is, dredging. They love it.
He's gonna talk us through the science of it, when, where, how, why not, all of those things. But I had offered up to other counselors, and I just want to remind them and folks who are listening at home, if you have any questions, it's gonna, I think, benefit the presentation enormously if Roy knows questions ahead of time. I had written to him some of what I've been hearing as feedback. If you have any questions, please share them with the manager or I. Roy is working on this presentation right now. We want to make sure that it is robust. So look forward to that for next week.
And will they accept pictures as part of the presentation? In other words, if, what I hear a lot from residents is, well, where I live right here, there's this giant mound of sand, so folks literally want to send a picture to you and say, this is the location, this is what it looks like, can you send this to them so they can comment on it? And they may say, yeah, that looks like an area that should probably be maintained.
I think we can try that. I suspect what they're going to say to us back is we need to know a lot of other factors in order to determine whether that's a good candidate for it, and they may not have time to visit the spot before next week.
Sure.
But the manager and I were talking about that a component of this would include specific examples of work the city has done, which may help provide context for folks. I'm sure they've seen some of the work being done, so it may help provide context for folks of when you're seeing a thing, this is what it looks like, and this is when we work on it and how that work looks.
Yep.
But if folks want to reach out with an area of specific concern, we can certainly share it and see going forward.
Perfect. Yes.
Actually, this is the next thing. So, you talked last time about the extra mile people. Yep. Is it too late to submit names for that?
No, of course, actually, I'm going to be doing on
Saturday,
Friday,
right?
which is the 31st. Well, probably I'll do it, I should probably do it Thursday. And what I'm going to do is, so it'll be on my webpage, on my Facebook account, and basically I'm going to have a picture of the certificate, and I'm going to remind people they can copy it, they can copy the picture of the certificate, you could put it on your own social media, Instagram, Facebook, webpage, whatever you want to do, and I'm just going to encourage people to nominate their own extra mile citizens. In other words, like I said, I told everyone who mine were, yours may be very different and for different reasons, and so I'd encourage all of you, like I said, November 1st is Extra Mile Day, I'd encourage all of you to just notice someone who goes the extra mile.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for reminding me. Yes.
For upcoming business, can we get an update on the community conduct ordinance and how that's been going?
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else, council? Then we'll move to roundtable, Counselor.
So let's see, BYSA 7th and 8th grade football will be playing in the state title game next Saturday at Colchester High School. Starts at 4 p.m. That will be an amazing event. Hopefully Barre will take home a second title in 3 years.
Nice.
And with that, I'll pass.
Counselor.
I have two things. One is that there's going to be another benefit concert at the Church of the Good Shepherd on November 8th at 4. It's the Sky Blue Boys, Banjo Dan and Willie Lindner, who will be performing a concert of acoustic music to benefit the warming center. So please plan to come if you can. And the second thing was just an update on the memorial bench that's in the abandoned dog park. And I learned tonight that it's been moved by the family. I'm not sure where it went, but they've relocated it to another spot. But I still am hoping that we can revitalize the dog park, because it sounds like it would be a good thing for the city to have for residents and their dogs.
Councillor Guston.
I think we've all had a complicated relationship with rain since the summer of 2023, and for some people even before that, but it has been really lovely to have rain recently. It has been so dry, and it's been nice to be forced to slow down a little bit and do some inside work. So that's all.
Thank you. Councillor Bergeron.
So Friday's Halloween, so I think drivers just be a little slower on the streets with all the trick-or-treaters out. And the trick-or-treaters and families maybe carry a flashlight, wear something fluorescent so you can be seen. Be safe.
Thank you. Councillor Spaulding.
Two things. I want to remind people that there's a public forum tomorrow night at the Aldrich, 5 o'clock. It's to discuss the bond votes for Barre City that we're discussing the informational meeting tonight, but also the CVCC bond vote, which is happening for both Barre City and Barre Town. Jody Emerson will be there to answer questions. Nicholas Strelly Castro is going to be there, and Carol Dawes is going to be there. So show up and ask any questions you might have, and bring a friend. And then the other question, or it's not I have a question. Is there a list? I'm thinking about the people who may be impacted by a couple of days without any money for food. Is there a list of places that they can go for free meals, for food shelves, for those kinds of things, and where would they find that?
Working on that tomorrow.
Okay, so, and I would also, so that would be welcome and very much so. Tess Taylor has, there are these stickers that are QR codes that she has been working with a number of providers in the area. You scan that, and it sends you to a whole list of resources that is being kept updated digitally. So that is not exclusive to food security options, but it would have that as well. And I think that a food security list would be great as well.
It's so what I plan on talking, so tomorrow, today was just trying to get the information. Tomorrow, I want to speak with Capstone and speak with the food bank and others and other, food shelves to see if they could arrange to be open Saturday or Sunday. Because those seem to be the critical days. The state believes that they'll be able to upload funds by Monday, Tuesday at the absolute latest. But literally, the EBT cards are fed immediately. So on November 1, the funds are there and they can go to the grocery store on Tuesday and use them. Well, now they can't. They won't work, they won't work on Sunday, or they won't work on Saturday because they won't have been replenished by then. So that's my morning tomorrow to reach out to some of the food shelves and see if they're going to arrange local food shelves and not statewide, and see if they're going to arrange to be open.
So if I could also just piggyback on that, for people who are not food insecure, it might be a good idea to pick up a few extra things and drop them at your local food shelf, because there might be an even bigger demand than normal. And I think that food shelves have really been hit hard, at least I know the one in our churches. And so I think having more food will be a very welcome thing.
Absolutely. There's going to be a need.
Yeah.
So absolutely, if folks could do that, that would be great. Yes.
Maybe this has been part of your conversations today, but at one point, there were warnings that any funds existing on the cards would disappear on November 1st, because that was the cutoff. And so they were encouraging folks to not.
Not true.
I don't think that was.
Thank you. That's good.
Guidance has changed pretty frequently.
Yeah, well, this is why I wanted to double check on it.
Yeah.
Good, I'm glad that's not
No,
true.
the card will function.
Okay.
It just won't be replenished.
Okay, thank you.
So if there's a balance, you're okay. And I heard the same thing, and I had to check and said, what are you kidding me?
I know, it seemed.
So you didn't, you were prudent enough to to stretch your benefits and do the best you could, and it's getting taken from you, even if because you didn't use it, but no, that is not true.
Excellent.
Yes.
One more thing, WIC benefits, so things like formula. I was informed by I believe her name was Brenda in the governor's office at the Wheels for Warmth event on Saturday, that WIC will not be affected by that.
Correct.
So I know that there were a lot of people that were really worried about, am I going to be able to get formula, things like that. So that will not be affected by the system.
I've actually got a decent PDF. Maybe I'll shoot it over to you and see if we can just either that, or we can all post it on our web pages just to let people know the different programs like WIC that is not going to be affected. Yes.
I was just told you can also find information on Barre Up and 802 Scoop.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. So, council, let's see.
But you didn't get.
Yes. Missed you.
Unless I'm mistaken, Governor Phil Scott had the highest approval rating of any governor in the United States.
You're right. People want to see him run again. I hope he does.
I'm going to go to the dog park.
Speaking of the greatest, May, he's for real. I mean, the Patriots are winning.
Unreal. Got rid of Vikings.
And I was losing, I was really discouraged because a friend reminded me that there are some preschoolers in Boston who never saw the Patriots win a Super Bowl.
Oh, no.
How sad.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
Look, I just love sports. And speaking of loving sports, I'll tell you, the Coyotes, it's real basketball. They are in the power rankings, they're number 15 in the country, and it is really, really good basketball. So, yeah, I'm a believer. I have 4 season tickets, and I'd encourage people. They have a game. Is it Saturday? I think Saturday. They got a doubleheader this weekend. Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and
So
Sunday.
there's Saturday and Sunday this week, but it's the real deal.
5 p.m.
It's real basketball.
at the Odd.
Think of those preschoolers.
I'll be there producing the game.
So with that, council, a motion we don't need an executive session, so a motion to adjourn would be in order. In a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.